Thank you, our viewers, for reckoning life pathways. Joan Rowling, the author of Harry Potter series. This woman was a single mother. She stayed in a small flat. She never had a job. But Joan Rowling was very determined. And she started writing the book, Harry Potter series. The show that gave her billions. And many people saw her, they rejected her. But she never gave up. She was very determined. And today, she's a billionaire. And many people have watched her series. In life, never give up. And with me today is Mr. Ernest LALUH, a university don, that is telling us that you can read history, but you become successful. Mr. LALUH, I want you to explain to us the narrative of your university life, where you started and where you are heading to and where you'll be landing.
Good. I enrolled for a bachelor's degree in history in UB in 1996. That was in the history department. Yeah, at the time it was a very small department with some of my first lecturers in history. I don't know if I have to call names.
Call their names.
Yeah, I was taught at that level by Prof. Victor Julius Ngo.
Wow, a renowned professor.
Yes.
Professor Julius Ngo.
Prof. Fomin, Dr. Watson, Dr. Richard Talla, who is presently the Vice Dean in the Faculty of Arts at the University of Buea, Dr. Ndambi, of blessed memory.
May so rest in peace.
May so rest in peace. And others. That was at the first degree level. At
the first degree level, how did they inspire you, sir?
Oh, they were very inspiring. Especially one young lecturer who came from Ibadan, but taught us only for 1 year, and then he died.
Oh, that's sad.
It's unfortunate, yes. He was called Eric, Mr. Eric Mbutru. That was at first degree level.
Which course was that?
He was taking us on courses in African history, most of African history, but he was with us only for 1 academic year, and then he died. I mean, in a very terrible circumstances.
How did it inspire you, sir?
First, like I said, he made history live. He made history live, and I can leave the event. As a matter of fact, I used to imitate him, and my classmates used to call me Mbutru. Mbutruism, yes. I used to mimic him, yes. He was dynamic. He was African-centered in his, in the
perspective.
Yes, and so I admired his ways, and I started imitating him to the extent that my classmates were calling me Mbutruism, yes, at the time.
Are you saying that we should go back to the African way of life?
Of course, we are Africans, and that is our identity. We are Africans, and we cannot but try to identify ourselves as such and defend the cause of Africa. My study of history showed me that Africa has been, has been treated and is somewhere in world politics that is not admirable.
Like, look at the slave trade issue.
Of course.
And describe a lot of issues that
if you look at the relation,
Africans were neglected.
Good. If you look at the relation between Africa and the rest of the world, before the colonial period, the Africans were subjected into what? More than 4 centuries of slavery and slave trade. As a matter of fact, that alone led to the loss of what vibrant young men and women to serve continents, other societies other than Africa. And so that was a loss to the continent that until date, we are still living the impact of slavery. As a matter of fact, because of the importance of slavery as far as explaining the African predicament is concerned, my PhD is centered on enslavement or slavery. That is where I've written my thesis. Because I feel that is where we entered a state of decline, and until now we have not recovered. Because from there, systematically, they converted it to another form of trade in which Africa still lose, what they call legitimate trade, at the end of the slave trade, when they abolished slave trade. And after a brief period, they turned around and came for direct colonialism. You understand? And even in the 60s, where a good number of African countries are said to have attained independence, we have this tendency where Europe and former colonial masters, colonial countries are still trying to press Africa and preventing it from making a move.
Are you saying that we should abandon European history and turn back to African and Cameroon history?
That is where the focus should be. Because if you don't know your past, you won't be able to tell your own story in a way that is void of bias. You won't be able to engage with other persons in global issues. Okay? So we should emphasize on African history as opposed to European history and American history. I'm not saying that the other histories are not important, but 70 to 80% of the curriculum in our schools should be centered on African history.
How do you think that if we focus on African history, sir, looking at your life narrative, how do you think that if we focus on African history, we are going to fight against new colonialism and belief in ourselves and have self-esteem like Africans will be able to emerge and develop as fast as possible without the Europeans interfering in our African lifestyle?
Going the African direction is part of the pandemic, it's part of the solution to African predicament. That is because we reconcile ourselves to our past. It gives us an opportunity to understand the present, and we can engage in a much more meaningful way in order to push ahead the frontiers of development without depending. Because one of the problems of Africa...
What are the problems?
One of the problems is dependency. We depend for the outside world, Europe, America, for technology, finance, military assistance, and all that. And of course, this assistance doesn't come, it's not altruistic. It is what? It is wrapped with strings.
Okay, looking at your life milestones though, when you are looking at the historical dynamism, when you are looking at the historical dynamism, what, in your own view, do you think that historians like you can shape the minds of younger Cameroonians to be able to think the African?